Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Oh, you believe when you meet the unbelievers in hostile array, never turn your backs on them. If any of you turn his back on them, on such a day, unless it be a stratagem of war, or to retreat to a troop of his own, he draws on himself the wrath of Allah, and his abode is hell, an evil refuge indeed. When thou threwest a handful of dust, it was not thy act, but Allah's, in order that he might test the believers by his gracious trial. From himself, for Allah is he who heareth and knoweth all things. That, and also because Allah is he who makes feeble the plans and stratagems of the unbelievers. This is a direction and a guidance for the believers, and also kind of not a warning, but an awareness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh, you believe when you meet the unbelievers in hostile array, never turn your back on them. So this is telling the believers not only in those times, but even in our own times and throughout history, there's a time when Muslims are going to meet the disbelievers. And it don't mean that each time you're going to be well equipped and you're going to outnumber them or anything like that. So it tells the Muslims that whatever the condition, you have to be strong, you have to be disciplined, and not to run away, not to turn your back on those people. If any do turn back to them on such a day, unless it be a stratagem of war, or to retreat to a troop of his own. Now, I don't know if you know about the Khalid ibn Walid. He won every battle. It's unbelievable. I mean, against huge numbers. One of the things of the believers in those days, they would rush up to fight the non-believers, then they would break ranks and start running. And as they was running up ahead, they moving, they're fanning out. Way up where the guys can't see them, they're fanning out around. The non-believers chasing them. And pretty soon, they stop. When do they stop? They have the non-believers surrounded. They have drawn them into a trap. They have used a stratagem of war. So this is what the Quran said. You can't run away from the believers unless it's a stratagem of war. And unless you are outnumbered on this battlefield, 10 to 1, 50 to 1, and you know that 5 miles away, if you make a break where you are outnumbered 10 to 50 to 1, you can break ranks, not break ranks, but you can run from that battlefield to the other battlefield where you are more stable and more secure, and it may be that you're needed more on that battlefield than where you're surrounded. So, in other words, always remain clear-headed about what you're doing. So don't run away or don't turn your back, which you get to in a little while, from the enemy unless it's a strategic retreat, as they call it in warfare. Now, if y'all want to go back 10 years, you would know that at that period, our favorite lectures on that was strategic retreat. In fact, if any of you need it, we'll hustle it up for you. Strategic retreat. That's 10 years ago. Now, to a lot of you, 10 years ago seems like a long time. But for us, in this battle that we're in right now, that strategic retreat was a part of this battle, right, that we're doing right now. We'll get to that later too. Now, so if any turn his back to them on that day, unless it be a stratagem of war, or to retreat to a troop of his own, he draws on himself the wrath of Allah, and his abode is the hell and evil refuge. It is not ye who slew them. It was Allah. When thou threwest a handful of dust, it was not thy act, but Allah's, in order that he might test the believers by a gracious trial from himself, for Allah is he who heareth and knoweth all things. Now, you know, there's a couple of places in the Quran, but this is one in specific, where it says that Allah sent down his angels in the side we just read. Now, they're in the middle of the battle. Prophet takes a handful of dust and throws it at the non-believers. Now, I want you to imagine fighting in the desert with camels, and what are you kicking up more than anything? Dust. You're kicking up dust. Dust is everywhere. If you ride real fast, it's dust. If you run real fast, it's dust. And if you're standing there turning and moving and swinging, you're kicking up dust. The Prophet ﷺ takes one handful of dust and throws it into the face of the non-believers. On the battlefield, they're everywhere. And he takes one handful of dust and throws it out there. Now, if that was modern times, or if we was using modern thinking, in a battle, and the leader did that, we would all set time out, and we would sit down and laugh. We would be laughing so hard, it'd be too hard to fight. It's like, hold on. Time out, y'all. This ain't fair. Time out. We done ran your leader crazy. He picked up a handful of dust. We was just out here to fight. We wasn't out here to run y'all insane or crazy or anything like that. But it said this is a test for the believers. So now, Tafsir is clear that Allah sent down his angels. So, but now, in the Quran and in the Tafsir, it says this, that it wasn't you who slew them, it was Allah. In other words, it was Allah's angels. And one of the big Mufassirs said that it wasn't, it says when it wasn't you who threw it, of course it was the Prophet who threw it. But what does it mean it wasn't you that threw it? It means that the Prophet threw it, but Allah aimed it. See, it was regular dust. If me and you throw it, we'd get more dust in our own eyes. Right? So Allah aimed it, and that dust was the angels of Allah. And they took the battle. This is a test. For you sometimes, it's a test for me. It's a test from then up till the present time and into the future, as long as the human being is here and Muslims are struggling in the cause of Allah. They have to remember that on these occasions that you call on Allah much and often, and that you depend not only on your physical strength, but you depend on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is also because Allah is he who makes feeble the plans and stratagems of the non-believers. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu laqitum fiyatan fathbutu wadhkurullaha kathiran la'allakum tuflihun. Wa atiullah wa rasulahu wa la tanazzalu fatafshalu وَتَذْهَبَ رِيحُكُمْ وَاصْبِرُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الصَّابِرِينَ. O you believe, when you meet a force, be firm and call on Allah in remembrance much and often that you may prosper. Obey Allah and His Messenger and fall into no disputes, lest you lose heart and your power depart. And be patient and persevering, because Allah is with those who patiently persevere. This again, let me read a little something about that Sayyid Qutb says on this occasion. In these verses we have a host of inspiring touches, rules, directives, scenes and attitudes, all relating to the battle, ideas, feelings, and inner thoughts. The surah is instructing them to stand firm when they meet their enemy. They should also try to acquire all that is needed to ensure victory. These includes a steadfast attitude, frequent remembrance of Allah to maintain their relationship with Him, obedience to Allah and His Messenger, avoidance of internal conflict and dispute, patience in adversity, perseverance in battle, and steering away from conceit, showing off, and persecution. So these are kind of guidelines. And it's very clear. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, that's directed to you and I. Idha lakitum fiyatan. So, what it's saying, lakitum, that means when you come across people, when you meet people, when there seems to be an arrangement or not an arrangement, but you fall into conflict with these people, it uses the word thabata. Thabata means to stand firm, to be fixed, unshakable. To stand firm, to be fixed. Tuflihun, from falah, hayya salah, hayya falah, come to prayer, come to, that you succeed and be prosperous. Again, we run across guidelines. When you meet an army on the battlefield, later on we'll get to our battlefield. It's not necessarily, for you and I here in America, it's not necessarily a physical battlefield. Right now, when we face the Zionist American enemy, we're supposed to be firm. Whether it's in the media, whether it's in the movies, whether it's in the educational system, wherever we meet the enemy in battle array, we have to stand firm. Thabata means to stand firm, to stick to your position. Right? Make your hold on reality firm and unrelenting, unbreakable. That is, if you want to be successful. Now, this remembrance of Allah, Atiullah, Ati Rasul, okay, this obeying Allah and remembering Allah. In this first case, this is saying obey Allah. And then the dhikr of Allah. Sometimes you're not going to be able to call on your brother. Sometimes you ain't not going to be able to, you may not have no reinforcements at all, especially like us right now in America. Where's your reinforcements at? Where's your backup team? That's what people, we'll get to it later, but they would tell us, you're going to go up against a system, where's your backup team? Where's your strategic this? Where's your strategic Where? And they're giving us all kind of criterion that we have to meet to confront the Zionist American enemy in America. But the Quran is not saying anything like that. Because if I can remember the ayah, Bismillah, Inna Allaha yuhibbul ladina yukatiluna fi sabilihi saffan ka'annahum bunyanun marsusun. Allah loves those who fight in his cause, right? Just like they are solid cement and structure. So all I'm going to say, well, you have to have the means to fight. You have to have the ability. You have to have the strategic location. You have to have strategic alliances. You have to be organized and structured in a certain way, right, to confront your enemy. The Zionist America.